Hi guys, how are you? Mine this one, Titanium, founder of Investing MMT and co-founder of Pure MMT for the 100% Beyond the Memes, along with my friend Edward Delzio, who is the author of The National Debit, a must-have book for anyone who wants to understand the monetary system and macroeconomics. You got to have this book. I also run a Patreon page on mine, patreon.com/mine this one. Come down, join us. It's $5 a month, and mostly to keep the trolls out. And what I do there is I teach people how to understand the monetary system, how it applies to macroeconomics, how it applies to the real world, and how it applies to investing. And we do this in real time. We do this on Facebook, on Messenger. We talk about various events that occur throughout the market throughout the day. Now, in macroeconomics, it's not something that you do normally. You don't sit there and talk about every single little piece of data that comes out, and its macro is big, right? So we care about the big picture. But we do interact in terms of understanding charting, which is what I call bare knuckle charting, and that's what I've been using to analyze Bitcoin in my previous videos. Even though I don't give a shit about Bitcoin, I think it's a great tool to use to teach people how charting works. Now, a lot of you are not going to understand what I'm talking about in most of these videos, but you will understand that I am getting it pretty much correct. And I'll show you a good example. So in this video is where I'm urging people to be cautious, because there was a breakout that occurred here, right in here, okay? And I said, look, don't get too excited because the pattern is not so complete. Again, be very cautious. Okay, so let's listen to the video and let's see how it played out. Very cautious. Don't let it come back into structure. Okay, as long as it doesn't come back into structure, even if it comes down. Okay, even if it starts doing one of these jobs like this. Okay, as long as it doesn't come back in structure, you're good to go. You're still upside. In fact, this will be bullish. Remember, anything that's pointing one direction, it does the opposite. And then that would become 1, 2, 3 up. Okay? But again, it's going to be a wave 3, right? So it will be a 1, 2, and then this would be the 3, which is, again, bearish. Okay, so this is what I was showing you back then, and let's see how it has developed. Bam. There you go. You see it? You got that thrust up move, everybody got excited, and then it started to correct to the downside. And I said, okay, even if you bought in here and it corrects and it comes back down, that's actually bullish. This is actually bullish, okay? And you have a very clear area where you should stop out, and that's if it comes back into structure, right? That's exactly what I said. This is exactly what's happening. It's a very good risk reward, because despite the fact that this looks bearish, this looks like, oh, it's coming down, it doesn't look good. Okay, we do have a complete structure. It's a 1, 2, 3 up, breaking down. Now there is a pattern where it dekes down, breaks the previous lows, scares the shit out of everybody, tests the previous support area, and then just reverses and goes off to the moon. Okay, and this is the chunk of change which you can capitalize on by buying the breakout. It's the least risk for the greatest reward. Okay, so just because something broke down doesn't mean it's over. All right, again, this is the way you should be looking at it. Now we do have a 1, 2, 3 up. Okay, so this is, it's a little bit not as clear, but at the same time, you do have a channel right in here. Okay, and now we went from the big macro stuff, and now we're going to smaller time frames and looking at what the structure is doing. Because remember, waves are like fractals. They just keep repeating, and as long as you know which time frame that you're looking at, what part you're analyzing, and when does it really matter, when you should take the trade, when you should expect the greatest reward with the least amount of risk, and that's what we're doing here. Okay, so again, if you see this come back into structure, more likely than not, this is going to take off, and this will be your big trade. But, okay, it depends how fast it comes up there. Okay, we could have a scenario. Let me redraw that. We could have a scenario. Let's say it does one of these jobs. Okay, we could have a scenario where it comes all the way to the top, tests previous highs, okay, and then reverse back down, because this whole structure is deking. So it's a 1, it's a 2, and then a 3 down. All right, so we'll take it one step at a time. We know what to expect, what the possibilities are. We understand all that stuff. I've showed it to you in previous videos, and I'm showing it to you in this video. But again, if it comes back in here, in this structure right here, if it comes back in, okay, then we're going to look for that complete structure to form. And then if you want to go long, you can go long somewhere, you know, in here. Okay, so long as it comes back out of this blue line. Okay, you don't want to be buying in here. You want to be buying when it's going in the right direction, because then the structure will be bullish. If it doesn't, okay, then it's going to become incredibly bearish, and everybody's going to puke it up, and you're going to see everything just collapse. Why? Because the bigger structure will be violated, and anytime you come back into structure, then you can expect it to just fall apart. And let me zoom out here. My internet is slow today. Okay, so this is the structure that I'm talking about. It's this, you know, bigger structure back here. See it? If this gets violated and it stays within it, then it's not only going to test the low, but more likely than not, just like it broke above here, it's going to more likely break below there. Okay, so it's a very interesting area. But again, the big overall picture, and this is the reason we're doing this, okay, is that we do have an Eiffel Tower structure in play. All right, so an Eiffel Tower structure means that it goes straight up, and then it forms an M pattern, and then falls apart, and then it's done. And I can show you, and I have showed you in the past, this structure play out. All right. If it does break out here, it doesn't mean the M pattern is over. It doesn't, because even if it breaks out here, it comes up somewhere, you know, in this area, 17,000, let's say, something like that, 18,000. It's still an M pattern. Okay, you see it? It's still an M pattern, and the whole thing just falls apart. All right. So, short-term bullish. If it breaks out and does what we said in the video, you know, keep that in mind. You got to be very nimble, you got to be very quick, and you have to be very cautious. And the other part I wanted to mention is that if this comes back into structure, then all this was a range expansion. Okay, what do I mean by a range expansion? Well, what do I mean is that over the course of time, if something is forming and it just keeps going back and forth, then you're going to get a range expansion. Okay, then you can anchor this point as wave 2. So then it would look something like this: 1, 2, and then would look for that 3 move down. Okay, we also have this other negative structure in play, where you get the 1 down. Okay, this is a 1. Then you get a 1, 2, 3 correction. Okay, this is a 2. So it's a 1, 2, 3 structure. And then you get the big down move, which is a 3. Okay, so this whole thing would become a 2 if it were to make it all the way to the top. And then this would become a 3. So then, you know, that's the way you analyze charts. So, you know, if you are not in Bitcoin and you said, hey, you know, I want to buy, I don't know when to get back in. Well, this is a good time to get in, because your risk is very minimal based on the structure. Okay, that would have to come back in. If it comes back into structure, then you get out, you stop. Or if you're right, and it does one of these jobs, which it should, all right, then you get all of this move. Okay, it's all in your bank account. So risk reward is very good. But again, it doesn't mean that uh, Bitcoin is going to 50,000 because it's making another up move, because we are forming another structure, and that structure, which is this, is said to be bearish. So let's see what it does. Okay, that's it. Talk to you guys soon. If I see another reason to make a Bitcoin video, I was sure to post it. Talk to you guys soon. Take care, and don't forget to come down to Patreon and join us. Patreon.com/mindthisone. Like us and join us on IMMT and Pure MMT for the 100%. Don't forget to buy the National Debit. Great book. And that's it. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.